Okay, sounds good. So thank you guys for joining the conversation and for taking time out today to see all of these faces, which is so nice. Um, Basically, what we're trying to create for the franchisee community is just a monthly forum. We've spoken to so many of the franchisees over the last several months. People are missing the national meeting. People are missing those in-person get-togethers that we do. And one of the things that across the board that we've heard is that people are just missing communicating franchisee to franchisee. So this really is for you guys. We absolutely welcome topics that are things that you want to hear from other franchisees about, concerns that you have, and things that you would just love to bounce off others. So this really is meant for you. It's created for you. EGC is here to facilitate the conversation and to provide, the Zoom and the technology so that we have a virtual place that we can meet. But we absolutely ask if you have an idea for a topic of discussion that you please email it to us. You could put it in the chat, so on and so forth. Varaya is helping with the tech support on this. If you have a question and unmute yourself and you find that we can't hear you, you could just quickly go into the chat, which if you hover on the bottom of the screen, you'll see like the icon with the word bubble. So you could just send her a quick chat or raise your hand. One thing that I wanted to mention kind of before we get into the conversation as it relates to COVID and the Delta variant and just kind of this peculiar time. I mean, it feels like not so long ago, and just strictly speaking for New York, that we kind of got over the hump a little bit and it felt like things were feeling pretty normal. I felt like I had a great summer, and, like at the end of the year, my daughter, the mask mandates were changing, and I really felt like we were at the other end of this thing. And then in comes the Delta variant, and I feel like we just took 10 steps back, and now the mask mandates are back and that things are changing. So one thing that's very important as it relates to questions with vaccinations and mask mandates and things like that, on this call alone, we have so many different states represented. So I want to kind of steer clear of those topics. And the reason being is that every state and every local area is going to have different mandates. You guys know for your specific location what those local restrictions are, what the mask mandates are, so on and so forth. So the purpose of this forum and what we really want to talk about today is indoor malls have gotten their butt kicked during COVID. And it's one of those things that, people are reluctant to go inside locations. And I mean, the research shows that people are looking to do an in and out. Gone are the days, at least at this period in time, where people are doing like the Sunday strolls and just kind of looking for a place to go. So they're going to go to a mall. And what's interesting is that throughout the franchisee community, we have locations that are going strong and doing well, and we have locations that are struggling more so. So we heard from a few franchisees that, is there a way that we could kind of just talk about what are some of the struggles? What are some of you doing to help get past those struggles? How are you working and succeeding in this sort of environment? So I'm going to ask Heather to kind of kick it off, because Heather and I talked about, some of the challenges that are happening for your indoor mall locations. And you have an indoor mall, you have an outdoor mall, you kind of have a few different locations that have, sort of different situations. So why don't you start, Heather, and just maybe talk about some of the challenges that you're having as it relates to the landlord and the restrictions that the mall itself is putting on the business. And let's kind of start there.
Hi everyone. Good to see everyone. Um, so the Jefferson Valley Mall has not opened fully. The mall hours are 11 to 7, which I find to be a challenge. We're open 10 to 7, Monday through Saturday, Sunday 11 to 6. But I feel when they close at 7, that's when people are coming home from work and we're missing that business. So they go elsewhere, to America's Best, who's outside the mall, who's open till 8, 9 o'clock at night. I've talked to the mall, and there's no indication that they will go resume normal hours, especially in lieu of what's happening now. So I think one of our challenges is the mall just doesn't back us up, and everybody opens and closes whenever they want to. Like there's not any rhyme or reason. I went into the mall last week, and a dress shop, she was closed at 5:30. And I'm like, okay, why is she closed? But because she feels like it. So there's no repercussion for them closing early. So it's a free for all. So I wish there was some sort of, um, you know, restrictions, or before, if you weren't open, you'd get fined. But they
Right.
to think that, we're just gonna nilly willy just open when we want, close when we want. And they have meetings like this once a month, which I've been on. And, everybody complains that they can't find help, that they can't staff their stores. So they can't afford to, have somebody sit in their store, or they just can't find anybody. So it's a challenge to find people to work, especially in an indoor mall, because it's hard to get them in because they're afraid.
Right. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, Heather and Lolita, I don't know if you can unmute yourself for a moment. I remember at the start of the shutdown, um, Lolita had a very similar issue where Lolita actually paid to have a security guard in the off hours and when the mall was closed, escort patients from the door to the location. Lolita, can you speak to that and kind of what the feedback from your mall management team was when you requested that?
Absolutely. What I did was I did a Zoom meeting with the manager of the mall as well as the owners of the mall. And I just explained to them how I understand that, it's COVID and the effects that COVID had on people. But I also explained to how we still needed to push through and carry on, and how our revenue was crippled by us being closed. And that because we are essential and we need to treat patients, we still needed to be open. By our location being close to the door, like the one of the entrances to the mall is right there where we are, they agreed to let me open, but I had to pay security to be able to escort the patients in and out, and that worked for us.
So
Heather,
Lily,
do you think that would work?
so um, no, um, because I mean, security's there to begin with, right? So they lock the doors. There's no like mall traffic. Like after 7 o'clock, they close the doors, they lock them. We're open at 10. So we are open an hour before the mall is open. So the doors, I believe, Andy, right, are unlocked at that point at 10. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But at, at 7 o'clock, security, everybody's out. They don't want anybody in the mall. They don't want anybody like even walking around. Dick's is open because they have an outside entrance, but everything's shut. because I've actually asked Alexa, the mall manager, what can we do? And basically, and the mall is in bankruptcy. So we really don't have any owners to speak to, because they filed bankruptcy. So
can I just ask one thing, Heather? And it's just a thought that I had. It sounds like I can appreciate what you're saying from like a mall traffic. There's no traffic after 7. There's no traffic because there's nobody in the mall. But I'm wondering if, to help combat, because you bring up a great point, and I'm sure as most of us on this call and working moms, you can't do anything before 7 p.m. if you're working. You really need those evening hours.
right.
Do you think that Alexa would be able to accommodate you for maybe one night a week if you guys could coordinate having to stay open one night a week and leave the
Right.
nearest entrance open to accommodate evening hours? Because
So-
that's a really valid point.
Right. So I already had that conversation with her as to staying open, 10 to 8 throughout the whole week. And she said that she cannot, let that happen because Prime Washington was the mall owners, and there's nobody that she can really refer to. And it's a liability to have somebody come into the mall when the mall is closed. It's not so much about security, but it's a liability.
Can I add
Yeah.
to that?
And go ahead.
I'm sorry. Heather, I feel your pain. I was there. And just to go back a little bit, what we did with security, because the mall was closed, it was locked down. But
Right.
I spoke with mall security because people were trying to break into the mall
Right.
and loot and so forth. So, but what I did was I got with their security team, and because their security team was more so to protect the mall, I spoke with the owner of the security company, who in turn was on a meeting with us and had allowed me to hire someone. Our mall now is in receivership. So it may be a little more challenging for you to get a hold of someone to do it, speak to their security team, but maybe if they could do it once a week, and not just so people could just walk through the mall, but maybe by appointment only.
Right. 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 I can ask again. I can definitely ask again. Like I would think maybe like Thursday nights, 10 to 8 would probably work a lot better. But I mean, they have events outside the mall once the mall's closed. And they don't let anybody in the mall. But I could always ask them if we could do that. We're supposed to have our meeting tomorrow, but I just got a text message that they're canceling it until next week. So I can definitely bring it up at the mall meeting.
Heather, for the outside events, and this goes for all of you, have you guys taken advantage of outdoor spaces? If that's, yeah, I see you nodding. I know Lolita did a great event outside. Just wondering if that's something that could be brought up to say, well, if you're having these outdoor events, let me set up a table since it's in the evening or something like that, just to take advantage of as much as you can. Has anybody else other than Heather and Lolita taken advantage of outdoor spaces during this time? No.
So I think it's important that the mall starts doing events indoors because it's safe. It's like, we're in New York, we have no restrictions about indoor malls, nothing. So I think it's just a concept that needs to be overcome, that we have the correct ventilation. It is a safe place. It's a big place. It's not like overcrowded.
Yeah.
And I feel the mall has like just sort of skirted that issue and say, we're going to do outside things and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, but we're not going to like try to bring the business back into the mall. Like it needs to come
Right.
into the mall. You need to start creating traffic in the mall, which it's a big challenge.
So is there anybody on the call that can provide some insight or recommendations for this environment and indoor mall locations? Have you had any success working with landlords or teaming up with other retailers to bring in some more traffic into the mall locations?
Hey,
Crickets
Tom.
on that one.
Yeah.
Well, who's in the indoor mall? It's Teresa, right? She's in
Lolita.
Lolita, myself, and that's it, right? Everybody else is in a strip mall.
Yeah.
Actually, I just got take over this month. I mean, last month. So mall, I'm not sure yet. My other two store is on the strip mall.
Okay, so what do you see, Teresa, in the mall? Like in your indoor mall location? Are patients coming in? Do they feel comfortable? Do you have like walk-ins?
I do have walk-in right now, but I'm not sure what Lynn did before. The mall, I just started this month and I just opened up like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's only 2 week time. I can't tell much.
Right. So prior to you taking it over, were they doing well?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. Yeah,
So-
it's very quiet.
So, I mean, we've been comparing our numbers from 2019 to this year, not 2020. And we're down. We're down a considerable amount in
Wow.
nights. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Wow, that's
It's
a
not
lot.
good. It's not good.
Not good at all.
And I think I've tried everything to get people to come into the mall, but there's locations outside the mall that I think people just feel a lot more comfortable just, popping in and going in rather than coming into the mall. So I just wanted to know if anybody had any suggestions.
Heather, did you find that during back to school, was there an uptick in mall traffic? Are there any times over the last 18 months where you could think the mall's pretty crowded or the mall traffic looks like what? So nothing.
No.
They haven't instituted anything at this point in time.
No,
Yeah.
there was no back to school promotion.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing. So as I said, I think the mall management team feels defeated. They're in bankruptcy. There's just that lull of like, and and it's like a flea market. It's just a flea market. And like, I can't describe it as anything else, and nobody cares. It's just, that's, yeah. So I just don't know what else to try to do to get people to come in. We advertise.
Well,
Yeah,
I know. We know
Very,
you do.
very good with that.
Yeah.
So, we're a destination location. We have to try to get them in, and it's difficult when, the media is saying, numbers are up, people are dying, this and that, and people freak out because they don't want to go inside.
Yeah.
So, I was hoping, for a better year, but I just don't know what the indoor malls have for the future.
Well, so one thing that we could maybe try to facilitate as it relates to this specific topic, we obviously throughout the franchisee community have a number of locations that are in indoor malls. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to join today. But I wonder if it makes sense, Heather, if we kind of take a look at the list between, the site and the Sterling franchisees that are indoor mall locations, and just send out a piece of communication and saying, some of our franchisees are struggling with this situation. They're not getting anywhere with the mall management team. Has anybody experienced something similar or is doing something that works? I mean, I hate to say it, but it sounds like a lot of this is based on what the mall's not doing. And I'm not 100% sure with Elise, with working with the mall management, I'm not really sure how you navigate that. I mean, to me, my first thought is like, if they're not doing what they need to do to support you, then there should be accommodations made for the money that you're paying out to be there.
Right. Well, yes. So, Lolita.
Lolita, you were going to.
Okay.
I was going to ask Heather, her numbers down in all her locations.
No.
Okay, so are your locations in a mall or?
So the other two are in a strip mall, right?
And those
So
numbers are up.
the Newburgh store for the year is up from 2019. And Yonkers, it's like a break even kind of thing. So
And both of those outdoor?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, are both of those indoor?
No, they're outdoor. The only one that's given me a problem is the Jefferson Valley one. And that's indoors. And it's frustrating because if the other stores weren't doing as well, I would say, okay, you know what? I can see, there's a correlation, but the only difference is that it's in an indoor mall.
Gotcha.
So
Find challenging. Let me go back. One of the things that I learned when COVID hit is that I did not have to leave my home for anything.
Right.
Everything was right there at my fingertips. Everything. You can buy groceries online. You can do everything online. Guess who's not online? Sterling. You
Right.
can't do anything with Sterling but look. So now here it is. We're going to go through the second wave of COVID, and guess what? We're still not online. We're still operating in the dinosaur age. You cannot go to sterling.com and buy glasses. Like, we just don't have it. And I think that is a downfall for us. It cripples us, and it makes us go dark. So it's bigger than just not being. It's bigger than being in the mall.
Right.
We just.
But like America's Best, Vision Works, Lens Crafters, you can't buy glasses online. You have to go in. So I mean, I've combated it somewhat with Alcon and their Marlowe app that people can buy their contacts online, which has been wonderful because I've been getting reorders online. And I don't even see the patients. I just get their money and their contacts are shipped. So, I mean, that's a great thing, but I don't know if it would be a great thing for Sterling to have like something like to buy glasses online, maybe to virtually try the glasses online to entice them to come into the store. I'm hoping and crossing my fingers and praying that we will not be shut down like we were before. But at least if they have the virtual way of trying on glasses, they can actually call me and say, hey, I tried this frame on, I want this. Can you order it? And I can have somewhat of contact over the phone. So there's something. So I think maybe a virtual try on that we could connect to our websites would be a way to start it.
So I want to just comment on a couple of things, and I love this portion of the conversation. So As Glenn mentioned on the last call, they are making moves for some sort of an e-com element. I don't know what that's going to end up being, and I don't think it's my place to share that because I'm not 100% sure. That I know that that's like a beta is being started. So there's that. So they're making moves absolutely to kind of enter in this kind of industry e-com in some way, shape, or form. But what I would recommend, and one of the things that we have talked about at previous meetings that I strongly recommend, and Heather brings up a great point of people are reluctant to go in store. When they do go in store, they're not looking to spend a ton of time trying on 50 different frames. What we've talked about, and I've mentioned to multiple franchisees, we talked about like the styling program. So Heather, I'm not sure at your location if this would be appropriate, but just throwing it out there, I always think about, and Heather, you keep saying it, it's like what makes us different is this in-store experience. It's like Andy's expertise when they're sitting in the seat, getting knowledge about eye care and health. It's the opticians that are going to help them get what they need to see their best. But it's also the ability going in and trying on frames and having somebody that's going to really help them pick out something that makes them look great. So I think that a wonderful element to just enhance that in-store experience is if, Heather, I call your store and say, you know, I want to come in and make an appointment, I need a new pair of glasses. If the staff answering the phone could say, okay, well, Jamie, we look forward to seeing you at 3 p.m. Can I ask, what are some of your favorite brands? Can I ask what you currently wear? Is there a particular shape or style that you like? And I think about that if I went in at 3 o'clock and whomever answered the phone, and especially for locations that the traffic is slow because they have the time to do this, pull 10 frames and have them ready to go when I come in and say, Jamie, it was so nice talking to you earlier based on our conversation. I thought these might be some things that you'd have an interest in. And it adds this whole layer, this like enhanced experience of I'm with a stylist. I'm with somebody that's going to look at me and determine what are some things that would look great on me. And I know that that's not possible for stores that are crazy busy or you don't have enough staff. But I just wonder if implementing things like that could help enhance the in-store experience for the folks that are coming in. Has anyone tried doing anything like that?
No, but it's a great suggestion. We can definitely try that.
Yeah, because I just think that, you know, if you have somebody at the store that has a knack for that, that's stylish, and I mean, on top of that, it offers the opportunity to kind of elevate. If somebody says they want X, if someone says they want a Guess or a 9 West, and you elevate that to something else, and it helps with the sales process, because I think now's the time to start implementing those things, especially if, you know, if it's not the quantity of patients, Heather, and maybe there's a way that the focus can be increasing those individual sales.
Yes. So I think the staff in Yorktown is pretty good at doing that because the tickets are a higher sale. But it's just that we just don't see enough people.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, that's, you know, it sounds like, and I wish that, you know, like I said, I'm hoping that if we send out an email to some of the other indoor mall locations that they can have some more recommendations. So I'm just trying to think of like with the people that you have, how to make the most with the individuals that you are getting in.
Right.
Are there any other topics? Are there any other questions or anything that anybody would like to share that hasn't joined the conversation yet? Heather brought up, Rachel, are you going to say something? I saw you on mute out of the
Oh, it's
corner
okay.
of my eye.
I was just gonna ask, so like in my situation, I had the doctor who was with me for 10 years, decide overnight without any warning other than an email that she was gonna retire. So, I literally just got an email saying I packed up all my stuff and I'm done. And that was last May. So I've been kind of just barely entirely without a doctor or just a couple day fill-in. And so because of that, we lost so many patients who we had to tell, like, I'm sorry, we don't have a doctor right now, check back, we're looking, all this stuff. But how do you regain those patients? Because some of them have come back or they'll call and they're like, oh, I didn't know you had a doctor now or whatever. But I'm in a great brand new, strip mall. They just redid the outside. I'm super visible, all this stuff. But it's like, I thought this year was going to be so much better than last year. And we are just struggling. So I don't know I guess I'm wondering if anyone has insight, to say, did people just go elsewhere? Are they ordering just more online? I just don't know how to get the momentum back. We're planning some stuff with an anniversary sale here in a couple weeks, and I'm the first one in North Dakota to do teleoptometry. So that's exciting, but if anybody has any nuggets of wisdom or advice, I'd love it.
So
Let me answer this. I'm sorry. Can I answer this? And the reason I want to answer it is because I struggle to keep a doctor. Prior to last month, I had a doctor 12 hours a week for the last 2 years. I struggle with keeping a doctor. As of the last month, I've only had a doctor 5 hours a day, 1 day a week. What I do right now, my numbers are down because he hit me overnight with, well, I got to cut my hours. So it hit me. He too, it was like a thief in the night. It knocked the wind out of my sail. I felt discouraged. I'm like, here we go again. I thought I had an award-winning team, and boom, here we go again. But the one thing that I do that has always, always, always kept us afloat is I work my files. You got to work your files. Call your patients, let them know, hey, we got a doctor. We're running a big sale. We're having a big promotion. You got to let the people know that you exist. You got to let the people know that you're still there. Work your files. Call a colleges, get an intern, call a high schools, get an intern, someone that will come in there. It's not going to cost you any labor just to work your files. Create a script for them. Call your patients. You got to let them know. And that has caused us to sustain.
Okay. That's really good.
So this is a thought. I don't know. So is there any private ODs in your area, Rachel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's three around the area that are private practices.
Okay. So do they have dispensaries?
Yes.
They do. Okay. Because it's a thought, and I did this when I worked for another company years ago. We would pay for their exam. We didn't have a doctor. So we're and we advertised, we will give you, if they paid $50 for their exam, bring your prescription into us and we'll give you $50 towards your glasses. Some sort of advertisements that way maybe might, bring them in. We'll pay for your exam, and spark some phone calls and interest as to, and if there's maybe an ophthalmologist that doesn't have a dispensary that we could go talk to, and just sort of try to work with your local people. But so you can't find a doctor to work at all then?
No, no. And I had one guy fill in this last year. And just to put it nicely, he's Satan in sheep's clothing. And he's gone now. Yesterday was his last day.
Okay.
So there is, when you said that, so we actually are, thankfully, that's part of the ad that we're going to put out is we'll pay for your eye exam.
Okay.
You know, and we're kind of leaving the saying like we're digital eye exams or whatever, because people don't always understand what it means and then they can get confused and stuff like that. But we are advertising that we're going to pay for your eye exam, you know, whatever that would be. And just like you said, basically give them, you know, whether it's $75, $85, $95 towards their glasses, you know,
Right.
and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that actually will drive a lot of, you know, interest in whatever. But what you just said actually gave me an idea, because there is the private practices, like I said, have dispensaries, but there is a hospital here that
Mhm.
has ophthalmologists, and they do not have a dispensary. And a lot of people do go to the hospital to get their eyes checked, not just for medical reasons either, because I'll see prescriptions from them. So I wonder if I could, I mean, I don't know, talk to somebody there and just say, hey, we could work out a deal where, you know, on top of, we also take Altru's eye insurance that they offer. So I could say on top of that, like we'll also give half off a second pair, you know, and use your insurance for the first pair. So that's a really good idea. Thank
Well,
you.
what about the friends and family discount card and leave it at the ophthalmologist's office?
Yeah,
And just say, can, you know, I'm a local business owner. I'm trying to make things happen here, you know,
Right.
and if you ever need anything, and if our doctors need to refer out, we'll be glad to refer to your practice
well, there you go.
or anything. Just sort of like try to network that
Yeah, that's good.
locally. So I do the telehealth in Newburgh.
Okay.
So I do not, I have a doctor 5 days a week, but the other 2 days, I actually have a tech. And believe it or not, some of those days I do more with the tech than I do with a doctor.
Awesome. Love it.
So it's the way that the staff presents it from
Yes.
the start on the
Yep.
phone to the patients walking in.
Mhm.
And I had one woman say to me, this is the most thorough exam I've ever had here at Sterling. I love this. And I'm going to tell all my friends.
Awesome.
So, you know, and on the other end of the spectrum, I have people like, oh, I don't have 40 minutes. I want my 10-minute exam.
I know.
So
Can't make everyone happy.
So if we tell them when we're booking them that they're going to be, you know, with us for about 40 minutes, a doctor remotes in. And the key thing is to just tell them that a doctor remotes in. If you use telehealth, they think, oh my God, are they coming into my house? Are they? So
Right.
we
That's
tell
what,
them that the
Yeah.
doctor remotes in. And when we say that, they're like, oh, wow, really? They remote in? I'm like, oh, it's so cool.
yeah.
So it's the way you present it. And yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So how often are you doing the telehealth?
Every day, all day long.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So, and yeah, myself, I was trained, so I'll do some exams, and then I've got another, like 2 other full-time people who also will be doing them. So today's actually the first full day, and it's going well so far.
Good. So are you using
Good.
2020?
Yep.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck and Janet.
Yep.
They're, you know what? Use them. Use Lacey. They're great people.
Awesome.
Any problem I have, I call Jason, the tech guy, and go,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you need to fix this ASAP.
Yeah.
So we're very, good. I'm glad.
Oh, good. Okay. Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So do you guys think maybe it would be a good topic for next month or for a future call to get the franchisees that are utilizing 2020 now and those that are maybe thinking about it to have a conversation around that? Because
That would be
I
great.
think, and just to echo what Heather said earlier, I think that that's an absolutely fantastic idea, especially for locations that are utilizing 2020 now, to really be seeking out the ODs in the area that don't have a dispensary and making sure that in your local areas, you're aware of who would need that. Rachel, we absolutely, on top of the other activities, can create beautiful gift cards that you could have at the ready to hand out that they could give to patients. So I think these are all really good ideas. I did want to mention for Heather, because I feel like we didn't get enough answers that we need to help with your mole problem. What I would love to facilitate would be for us to reach out to the locations that definitely are in indoor malls and maybe just weren't available at this point of time. And let's schedule something, even if me and Veray and Leah have to do it after hours, to make sure that everybody, because I know for certain that you're not the only one that is feeling these pain points. So as a next step for this, we'll send out an email with every single franchisee that has an indoor mall location. We'll set up a time, like I said, even if it has to be on off hours. And, you know, as I said to you guys, if other than the 2020 now, if there's other conversations and topics you guys would like to discuss, please share them with us so that we're going to continue to do these on a monthly basis. I hope you guys found this helpful. And Heather will definitely sort this out so that we have some more brains to pick as it relates to indoor locations. Lolita, Teresa, we'll make sure that you're on those. Teresa, I know this is like a new location for you, so I think it's really important that you get some of those insights.
Right. So I just have one more question.
Sure.
So everybody on the call, is everybody doing better than 2019? Are they, you know, breaking even? Are they up? Are they down? Like, what is the general consensus?
I'm down.
Hello, everyone. So I'm in San Francisco, in downtown financial district. And I must say that we have to close one of our store in Battery, which is like right at the heart of the financial district. People in San Francisco are still working at home. If they come, they do come only about 2 to 3 times a week. And our buildings, the tall buildings we have in here, are only operating at about 20% capacity. And I know, because I ask the people that come in here, I ask everyone how they are doing, when are they coming in, and all that stuff. So it's very slow. Stores are closing left and right. But
So-
no,
Yeah, and
You're
I know for that area, especially that San Francisco, like city proper, has had some of the most harsh mandates, and I know that that's certainly been an issue.
yes. So now that we're only operating on one store, fortunately, you know, we're sort of diverting some of the people from that store to come on this store. We're a little closer to Union Square, but people are not really shopping, you know, to be honest with you. They're not coming downtown. A lot of homeless in here, a lot of not so good activities in here. We have to lock the store because we have a lot of people coming in for thefts.
Wow.
And you know, it's just horrible, but you know, we have a lot of loyal patients that are coming in. But I'd like to thank Lolita, because your suggestion about calling them in the files, that's a really, really good one, because I used to work in a private practice, and that's what, you know, the receptionist would do, just pull files and start calling. So that's, you know, that's what we're gonna do. We email them, but I think calling them, especially if I know personally who they are. But you know, I really, it's been like this since the beginning. We are one of the first ones to shut down.
Wow.
Rowena, it's money in your files, and it's more personable when you can call the people and reach out to them, not just the ones that you know, but all of them. People look at emails sometime, and sometime they go to their spam, junk mail. Other times they think it's some sort of advertising. It just makes it more personable when you can just call a patient and say, hey, you're overdue for your exam. You haven't been here. Come on in. We have a huge sale. We're doing giveaways. Give away a mask. We're in a pandemic. Give away a mask. Personalize your mask. Sterling Optical. Put your phone number on it. That's walking advertisement.
Mhm.
Everybody likes free things. Give them a keychain, something that's not going to cost you too much or hurt your business. Money, that your business is your files. Call them people.
Yeah, thank you. I do know though, I wanted to share with Heather because you are talking about the indoor malls, and I live 5 minutes away from where Nick lived, where the ceremony.
Mhm.
The shopping centers here, at least in the area where I live about 15 minutes from downtown San Francisco. They're remodeling. They just don't want to die. So they're building huge movie theaters. They're just Dave and Buster's. It's something that they're spending lots of money on. So I see his store. They're always busy, and I know them because I worked there 24 years ago. I walk by, say hello. They always say they're so busy. They're so busy. They're turning down patients, and I'm like, send them to me. I can't believe they're like turning down patients, but they were just too busy, which
Right.
is really good. But the mall itself is really they were open till 10 p.m.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's it.
Good. Good. And what about you, Tommy? Are you still there? No, Tommy's not here. I see his name
He's
on
here. He's here, but not here. Let's hope he's helping
Come out,
somebody.
come
That
out
he's so
wherever you
busy.
are, Tommy.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, there he is. So how are you doing?
Doing great. I'm up to my elbows in diapers and butt cream right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're
Well,
we're doing okay. 2021 compared to 19, we're up 9.5%.
nice.
So we're feeling fortunate. I was interested in some of the discussion about being short doctor hours, and I would love to hear from ODs, whether it's in this group or in a future discussion, their perspective on working in a pandemic, and how to find part-time ODs. It's been a struggle for us. Our book is full. We're booked about a month out. I know other offices are struggling, and I feel for you guys. I guess our struggle right now is finding doctors. So that seems to be a common theme.
I literally
Yeah, and I would say, oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say to Tommy's point that we're hearing not only doctors, but staff, front of house, people to work the store. Rachel, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was gonna say, I don't know like what the deal is, because I swear there's a ton of people who are still going to college for optometry, but like I hired 2 headhunting companies, if that's what you want to call them, where I was gonna pay like $15,000 if they could place a doctor. Plus I hired a local one, so actually 3 about that same fee. Nothing, like nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know where they are, and I don't know what's going on. It is bizarre.
Statistically, currently, it's like the highest job openings ever. I think Forbes said it's like 92 million jobs. It's like some insane numbers. It's like there's more jobs and not enough people that want to work at the current time.
Crazy.
I mean, and there's a lot of things that contribute to that aside from unemployment benefits that people are getting, but also for parents, daycare and having, schools shut down, and people are saying the amount that I'd have to pay out, it's not worth it. I'd rather just kind of stay home. So there's a lot of factors that contribute to that. But I definitely think that Tommy's idea about maybe getting the locations together for next time to talk about staffing and doctors, because Heather, I know you mentioned that when we talked to sort like some of the pain points, that maybe the next one we do, we should kind of talk about staffing, how the best ways to acquire new eye doctors, front of house staff, what people are doing, so on and so forth, as a great next topic, and urge our doctors to join the conversation if they could provide some insight. And then I think, as we said before, we'll add the 2020 Now stores, telehealth, and locations that are thinking about integrating this into their current offerings. So Heather, are you going to say something?
Yeah, so Rachel and Lolita, so your doctors just like pieced out overnight. Did they say why? Like they were afraid of the virus, they didn't want to be in close contact, they didn't feel comfortable. I mean, or were they like at retirement age? Because I have a doctor in Yonkers, he's 78. He does the shuffle, but he's still like, he's not afraid. He's totally not afraid. He's like, I give you an N95. He's like, no, just a regular mask will be fine. I got my vaccination, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if were they afraid to work or they were just ready to get out?
Yeah, Dr. Mary was 65 and she had planned, like she told me she was gonna like continue to work probably 2-3 more years, give me time to find a doctor. But she had a lot of she was a fearful person just in general. And so as soon as it happened and I talked about like reopening, because all the other offices were reopening, she just panicked and walked.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they just have a lot of options now because when I was going through my junk mail at work, they're mailing stuff to the doctors to come join their team. And there's just a lot of options. You got Walmart, they're trying to get people. CVS has an optical now. I just figured it out 2 days ago.
But to be honest with you, like America's Best, like I've interviewed doctors that, they said, well, are you like America's Best? Because they want us to do a 10-minute exam, 15 minutes and, and in and out. And we need to see an X amount and we need to hit a quota. And I'm like, no, we're not like America's Best. We're a professional practice where we care about our patients. So there's a lot of those ODs that are finding out that they don't, the money may be there with them. I don't think they pay really well, but they give benefits. They give 401ks. There's a lot more perks, but in the long run, I think they'll eventually find out that this is not what they want, that this is it, and they get like a 10-minute lunch. So the one woman was like, no, so. But
that was really hard when I was talking to the recruiting companies too, is they half of them didn't understand how an independent doctor works with an optician. It was just a concept they couldn't grasp because he kept asking me okay, well, what benefits are you offering them? I'm like, no, you don't understand. They're going to make $180,000. They can afford their own health insurance. But it was just this. And then he's like, well, how about paid time off? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, do these other places who have independent doctors offer these things? And he said he has some that do, but I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm the one staffing all of the people. Basically, I have all the expense. You're paying me one little lease fee.
Right.
You want me to pay you for PTO and health insurance? It's just I told the guy, I'm like, whatever I got to do to get a doctor, and then we can figure it out from there. But it's crazy.
Yeah. I agree. And I think they think at this point in time that it's their call. It's they're
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're up to our 1 p.m. before we get kicked out of our Zoom room, but I just wanted to thank everybody who was able to join today. We have some next steps ahead of us so that we can schedule another one of these, and just thanks everybody for the conversation and contributing. Hopefully you guys got some good ideas, and we look forward to doing this again in October.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.